Okay, I'm continuing on with my Macbeth video lecture series for my grade 11 students at summer school 2020. Doesn't mean I won't use these again. And they're also on. I always have to, my hair looked fine before I started. They're also online, available to anyone who wants to use them. I intend to, hopefully, if I need to, use them as subplans, because it's very difficult getting a sub to do Shakespeare. So I'm still using the sparksnotes.com, the No Fear Shakespeare translation, and I left off having completed scene 1. Scene 2 is shows us a shift in Macbeth and Lady Macbeth's relationship. Remember, in the letter, we got the sense that these two were very strong partners, that there was a very strong bond between them. My dearest partner of greatness. He writes to her immediately so she can experience the joy of what will be for her as future Queen of Scotland. Enter Lady Macbeth and a servant. Is Banquo gone from court? Ay, madam, but returns again tonight. Say to the king I would attend his leisure for a few words. Madam, I will. Exit the servant. Naught's had, all spent, where our desire is got, without content. 'Tis safer to be that which we destroy than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy. Lovely use of alliteration to help emphasize this sense that she has of, wrong scene, the sense that she has of their current state. And we can remember Macbeth said the same thing just before he had his long soliloquy about Naught's had all spent. Well, no, I think that's Lady. He said something very similar, that, what we've done has not given us peace. What we've done has simply put us more on edge. And Lady Macbeth goes on by saying it would be safer to be Duncan, because what we have is that we dwell in doubtful joy. We just don't know if our positions king and queen is secure. Enter Macbeth. How now, my lord? Why do you keep alone? Of sorriest fancies your companions making, using these thoughts which should indeed have died with them they think on. Here, Macbeth is brooding over what he has done. And this goes back to Hemlock. This goes back to the insane root that drives man insane. I'm not going to try and remember every line, although I should. I know them. Things without all remedy should be without regard. What's done is done. We can't change the past. We killed him. He's dead. Move on. We've scorched the snake, not killed it. She'll close and be herself while our poor Melis remains in danger of her former tooth. Yeah, we killed Duncan, but we're still in danger. This is not over. Here's his desire for chaos. But let the frame of things disjoint, both the world suffer ere we eat our meal in fear and sleep in the affliction of these terrible dreams. The affliction of these terrible dreams that shake us nightly. Macbeth shall sleep no more. Macbeth hath murdered sleep, therefore Cawdor shall sleep no more. And here he says the exact same she said. Better be with the dead whom we, to gain our peace, have sent in peace. Go back up to the top here. 'Tis safer to be that which we destroy than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy. They're both feeling that they would have been better off. They would be better off dead, like Duncan, rather than suffer on the torture of the mind to lie in reckless ecstasy. So he's acknowledging that he has starting to lose it, that he is not completely sane anymore. The torture of the mind is the guilt of what they've done and the terror of what could happen to them. Duncan is in his grave. After life's fitful fever, he sleeps well. Treason has done his worst. Nor steel, nor poison, malice domestic, foreign levy, nothing can touch him further. Now, Macbeth is the one who fears treason. He fears all of these dangers. Duncan is now safe. He's dead. Come, my gentle lord, sleep o'er your rugged looks. Be bright and jovial among your guests tonight. Again, appearance versus reality. Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. You have to get rid of this look of guilt and anguish. You must be up to the party tonight, and you must present a happy face. So shall I, love, and so I pray be you. Let your remembrance apply to Banquo. This is interesting. Now we know he is not sharing everything with her. She was fully a part of all of their schemes, their machinations up until this point, and now she is in the dark because he is telling her to most particularly be jovial amongst Banquo, present him eminence both with eye and tongue. So she has no concept that Banquo is to be murdered. She's no longer in the loop. And safe the while that we must lave our honors in these flattering streams and make our faces vizards to our hearts, disguising what they are. This is an unsafe time for them because they have to pretend to be who they are not, and it is very difficult. You must leave this, she's concerned. He could go crazy. But he is going crazy. It's too late. Lovely metaphor. Full of scorpions is my mind. Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. So we think of the scorpion, we think of its bite, we think of its poison. His mind is filled with scorpions, filled with their poison. Here he tells her his concern. Thou knowest that Banquo and his fiancé lives, but in them nature's copies not a turn. She agrees with him that they can die, but she doesn't know that he has already planned to die, for them to die. There's comfort yet. They are assailable. Yes, they can die. Then be thou jocund. So be happy. Here is his obsession with evil. Previously, we saw his obsession with chaos on the other page. Now we're looking at his obsession with evil. Ere the bat hath flown his cloistered flight, ere to black Hecate summons, the shard-born beetle with his drowsy hums hath rung night's yawning peal. There shall be done a deed of dreadful note. Now, we get the sense of evil mostly from Hecate because she is the goddess of the witches. The bat is a night creature of the night. I would probably imagine so is the shard-born beetle. But these are all creatures of darkness. And here he hints that that Banquo is to die. And again, using alliteration to accent it. Done a deed of dreadful note. What's to be done? She's in the dark. She doesn't know. She has not been made a party to his plans, unlike prior to this. Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck. Dearest Chuck, he still loves her. He's not including her, but the love is still there. Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed. She will learn it when it is over. Now, his obsession with chaos, we've seen his obsession with evil here, and now we're going to observe his obsession with darkness. Because as before, when they planned to murder Duncan, they both called on the night to hide what they are doing. He does so again. Come, sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day, and with thy bloody and invisible hand, cancel and tear to pieces that great bond which keeps me pale. That great bond is Banquo. And so he's calling upon the night to hide what is going to happen, the destruction of Banquo, whom in the previous scene he said there is none but he whose being I do fear. And he likened him to Octavius Caesar and himself to Mark Antony, who paled under Octavius. Light thickens and the crow makes wing to the rooky wood. And here, good over evil, overcoming good. Good things of day begin to droop and drowse, while night's black agents to their praise do rouse. So evil will conquer over good. Every time the night comes, evil conquers over good, which is the sun that is forced to set. Thou marvelest at my words, but hold thee still. Things bad begun make strong themselves by ill. I know you're shocked, but we started off bad. We murdered Duncan, and we will make ourselves stronger by continuing in this vein, in essence. So prithee go with me. And they exit. Now, we are entering into scene 3. This is what I call the Shakespearean climactic peak. This is when things no longer work in Macbeth's favor. Up until this point, everything is about Macbeth gaining in power, gaining in respect, and ultimately gaining the throne. And now the intent is to murder Banquo and his son Fleance. Not just Banquo, but Fleance. Fleance has to go too, even though he's a boy. He has to go because Banquo's heirs are to be king. So if he's going to keep Banquo's heirs from becoming king, he has to kill both Banquo and his first heir, his son, who will then produce other sons. And it's either Banquo or future sons of Banquo who are going to become king. So both must die. We also get a sense that Macbeth is losing trust in everybody. I mean, not that one should really trust murderers to begin with, but he has 2 murderers hired to kill 1 man and a boy. But he brings in a 3rd. We don't know who this 3rd murderer is. Some people have liked to consider it as Ross, who is a double agent working for both Malcolm and Macbeth. But that's an inferencing choice that is, well, it's based on the fact that Ross is, I guess, anxious to get out of Lady Macduff's castle when he goes to visit her, but that's further down the road. So a 3rd murder is with them, and the 1st murder is questioning that. But who did bid thee join us? Macbeth. He needs not our mistrust, since he delivers our offices and what we have to do to the just direction. He doesn't need to mistrust us. He told us exactly what to do. We're perfectly capable of accomplishing that. Then stand with us. Macbeth sent you. We have to put up with you. The west yet glimmers with some streaks of day, so it is dusk. Now spurs the lated traveler apace to gain the timely inn, and near approaches the subject of our watch. So Banquo and his son will be coming very soon. Hark, I hear horses. Banquo from within. Give us a light there, ho. Then 'tis he, the rest that are within the note of expectation are already in the court. So it has to be Banquo because everybody expected at the feast is already there. So those that are within the note of expectation are within the court. His horses go about, almost a mile, but he does usually, so all men do, from hence to the palace gate, make it their walk. It's actually a good thing for your horses, because when you go riding, you work your horses, and then the last, mile or so, you give them a break and they walk. And that's a bit of a warming down for the horses, so it's not an unusual practice. Enter Banquo and Fleance with a torch. A light, 'tis he. Stand to. It will be rain tonight. So these 3 are speaking, but Banquo does not hear them. And he's just looking up at the sky, talking to his son. It will be rain tonight. Let it come down. And the rain the murderers referred to, metaphorically, his blood. The murderers attack Banquo. Oh, treachery, fly, good Fleance, fly, 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 thou mayest revenge. Oh, slave. Banquo dies. Shakespeare is rather cheesy with his name symbolism. Fleance is the character who flies. But he is not killed, Banquo's issue is safe. Banquo's issue, which those who will become kings at a later date will survive. Macbeth's attempt at cutting off the source of Banquo's children has failed. Banquo is dead, so Banquo can't fight against treasonous malice like he said he was going to in Act 2. But Fleance can revenge, but he's just a boy. So his vengeance isn't going to come for years. Who did strike out the light? Was not the way? There's but one down. The sun is fled. So the third murderer is like, why did you strike out the light? Well, because we finished murdering him and we don't want people to see us. And the murderer is like, no, we didn't finish murdering. We still have the boy. The second murderer, we have lost the best half of our affair. Well, let's away and say how much is done. So we'll go and we'll tell Macbeth how much we have actually accomplished. And we now move into scene 4. The banquet is prepared. Enter Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, Ross, Lennox, lords, and attendants. This is a crucial scene because Macbeth now learns that things aren't working in his favor, and the fit of his mind, the insanity that has been brewing and bubbling and building, reaches a fever, and he actually starts babbling. That's the word I'm looking for. He starts to babble aloud and seeds suspicion in the other lords. Macduff suspects him, and Banquo suspected him. Now the other lords will begin to suspect him. So things are going downhill for Macbeth. You know your own degree. Sit down. At first and last, the hearty welcome. So find your own places to sit. You know your value and my worth, so choose your seats wisely. The lords sit. Thanks to your majesty. Ourself will mingle with society and play the humble host. Our hostess keeps her state, but in best time we will require her welcome. Pronounce it for me, sir. So this is, again, remember what I was talking about in terms of Shakespeare providing stage directions? Lady Macbeth has not entered, or Macbeth is not aware of her entrance. So they say Lady Macbeth here, but Macbeth says she's not here yet. And our hostess keeps her state, but in best time we will require her welcome. So Shakespeare's saying Lady Macbeth is only going to enter at this point, which is another reason why I don't believe that these were ever in Shakespeare's original plays. One of these days I will look for a folio and see and determine whether or not I'm correct in my interpretation, but he has so many stage directions inside the dialogue that I see no reason for stage directions. And here she is, pronounce it for me, sir, to all our friends. Here I am. For my heart speaks, they are welcome. They are both looking like the innocent flower while being the serpent under it. They are both covering their false faces with the false heart, in essence. Enter first murderer at the door. See, they encounter thee with their heart's thanks. Here he is talking to his wife, and how they, his guests, are welcome. They encounter thee with their heart's thanks. They are all welcoming and thanking her for her as their hostess. Both sides are even. Here I'll sit in the midst. Be large in mirth. Anon we'll drink a measure the table round. Now, there's blood upon thy face. He turns and leaves the crowd to join and talk to the murderer, whom the others may only assume to be a servant at the door. There's blood upon thy face. 'Tis Banquo's bed. 'Tis Banquo's then. 'Tis better thee without than he within. Is he dispatched? My lord, his throat is cut. That I did for him. Thou art the best of the cutthroats. Yet he's good that did the like for Fleance. If thou didst it, thou art the nonpareil. My royal sir, Fleance escaped. Macbeth now knows that his plot has failed. Yes, Banquo is dead, but no, Banquo's heirs still can rule the throne. Then comes my fit again, my fever, my sense of insecurity, my fear. I had else been perfect, whole as the marble, founded as the rock, as broad and general as the casing air. But now I am cabined, cribbed, confined. Again, lovely alliteration to emphasize how he is being locked up, bound to saucy doubts and fears. But Banquo safe? Ay, my good lord, safe in a ditch he bides with 20 trenched gashes on his head, the least a death to nature. Thanks for that. Well, at least we have Banquo out of my hair. He's dead. Now, in a lovely metaphor, he refers to Banquo as the grown serpent. There, the grown serpent lies, he who is in a position to exact some kind of vengeance on me in respect to Duncan. The worm that has fled, his son, who cannot currently hurt him, hath nature that in time will venom breed. But right now, he's a worm, he does not have venom, he is safe, because he has no teeth for the present. Get thee gone. Tomorrow we will hear ourselves again. So go. I'll have another task for you tomorrow. Exit the first murderer. My royal lord, you do not give the cheer. The feast is sold that is not often vouched, while 'tis a making, 'tis given with welcome. To feed were best at home, from thence the sauce to meat is ceremony. Meeting were bare without it. Basically, Macbeth, honey, you haven't made a toast, you haven't started the meal, your guests are waiting for you. You got something similar before in Act 1, Scene 7, when Macbeth was off in his own head. Sweet remembrancer. Now good digestion, wait on appetite, and health on both. So thank you for reminding me. And this I would have him saying to his guests. May it please your highness sit. Enter the ghost of Banquo and sits in Macbeth's place. Had we now our country's honor roofed, were the graced person of our Banquo present, who may I rather challenge for unkindness than pity for mischance. I would not have Banquo entering here. I would have Banquo entering here. His absence, sir, lays blame on his promise. Please it your highness to grace us with your royal company. And I would have Ross pointing to an empty chair. And now, I've heard this done, and I've seen this done in other ways, where Banquo's ghost does appear and the audience sees Banquo's ghost, and where there is no Banquo on the stage, only an empty chair, and the vision is presented to us through Macbeth's ramblings, and so that it is the actor's job to convince the audience that he sees the ghost because no one else in the room sees it. Lady Macbeth doesn't see it, and none of the lords sees it. And here, with Ross pointing to an empty chair, Macbeth looking at it, looking around at the table, going, the table's full. Lennox, here is a place reserved, sir. Where? Here, my good lord. What is it that moves your highness? So maybe I would actually have Lennox pointing to the chair. A place reserved just for you, right here. Where? Here. And when he looks straight at it, maybe that would be the time I would have the ghost appearing, if I had the audience see the ghost. Which one of you has done this? Because Macbeth is looking on Banquo, a bloodied Banquo, a murdered Banquo. What, my good lord? Thou canst not say I did it. Never shake thy gory locks at me. We don't need to the ghost. He's talking to the ghost. The gory locks. That tells us, never shake thy gory locks at me. You can't say, I did this. I didn't do this, so don't you even dare try to suggest otherwise. And they're all looking at him like, what are you talking about? Do what? And gory locks. Now, bear in mind, these people are only aware of one person who's dead. Duncan. So they're not necessarily thinking Banquo at this point. They're thinking Duncan. Is the guilt of Duncan's murder rising up in his mind? Ross. Is Ross a double agent? This might be a line that suggests it, because he suggests they get out of there now. Gentlemen, rise, your highness is not well. They would get up and leave. What little suspicion they might have had would have melted away. Lady Macbeth makes a fatal error. Sit, my worthy friends. No. Let's not destroy the party. My lord is often thus, and hath been from his youth. So she plays on the idea that he has a malady from childhood that every once in a while rears its ugly head. Pray you, keep seat. The fit is momentary. Upon a thought, he will be well again. If much you note him, you shall offend him and extend his passions. Feed and regard him not. So you sit down, eat, ignore him. And then she takes him aside and is like, are you a man? I, and a bold one that dare look upon that which might appall the devil. Lady Macbeth knows what this is all about. He's confided in her. He's told her about the bloody dagger that led him to Duncan's room. Oh, proper stuff. This is the very painting of your fear. This is the air-drawn dagger which you said led you to Duncan. You know, it's like this is your imagination playing games with you. These flaws and starts, imposters to true fear, would well become a woman's story at a woman's fire. You're acting like a little girl, authorized by her grandam. Shame itself. Why do you make such faces? When all's done, you look but on a stool. So she's probably thinking he's looking at Duncan's corpse as well, because she doesn't know Banquo is dead. They may have a bit of a suspicion about Banquo as well, because why isn't he here? Prithee, see there. Now, the question is, does he speak loud enough for everyone to hear? That is a director choice at this point. But the other lords are, how could they not be curious with what's going on? Prithee, see there, behold, look, lo, how say you? Why, what care I, if thou canst nod, speak too? If charnel houses, now I would have them hearing this. I would, because this is a confession. And if these men are going to suspect him later on, this is like, I've just killed somebody. Now, they don't expect a soldier to suffer like this, because a soldier is doing his duty in war. I'm sure many soldiers do suffer like this, but they would not expect that. If charnel houses and our graves must send those that we bury back, our monuments shall be the maws of kites. So the ghost exits at this point, and Lady Macbeth again tells him that he's not acting as a proper man, why quite unmanned in folly. Sorry, what? Quite unmanned in folly. And he swears, if I stand here, I saw him. Fie for shame. Blood hath been shed ere now, in the olden time, ere humane statue purged the gentle wheel. Aye, and since too, murders have been performed too terrible for the ear. This has happened in the past, but now you got to understand, he's saying that this has happened over and over. Murders have been happening for centuries. Perhaps he's saying that, but what his audience is hearing, and I don't mean ourselves, the audience, but his audience, as in the Lord's, is that he's starting to ramble on about murders that are too terrible for the ear. And what murder is too terrible for the ear that they have just witnessed within maybe weeks? Duncan's. And here's another confession. The time has been that when our brains were out, the man would die, and there an end. But now they rise again with 20 mortal murders on their crowns and push us from our stools. This is more strange than such a murder is. He's saying that there was a time when you could kill someone and he was dead, and that was that. But now they're rising up out of the grave to avenge themselves on you. And these people are the lords, Ross, Lennox, all of them are listening to this. Who's risen from his grave? Who is pushing him from his stool? What is making him go crazy? It's got to be guilt. Guilt for something. What? Well, they know guilt for Duncan's murder. My worthy lord, your noble friends do lack you. And Lady Macbeth sees this, and she's telling them, please, please, all of your noble friends, I mean, come on, go, get back into the feast. I do forget. Do not muse at me, my most worthy friends. Do not muse at me. Do not think about this. So they have heard this. That line tells us that they are listening to everything he says. He uses his wife's excuse that she gave earlier. It's, just something that an ailment that he's had since childhood, this infirmity of his. He says, I have a strange infirmity, which is nothing to those who know me. They know me, I have my fit, and then it's gone. Come, love, and health to all. Then I'll sit down. Give me some wine. Fill full. Now, it says enter Ghost of Banquo here, but I would have the Ghost of Banquo entering after the toast. Every time Macbeth toasts Banquo at this feast, the ghost would appear. For me, that would be the ideal timing. I drink to the general joy of the whole table and to our dear friend Banquo, whom we miss. Would he were here. Oh, you want me here? Okay, here I am. To all in him we thirst, and all to all, our duties and our pledge. So they all toast to Banquo, and they go to drink to Banquo. And here Macbeth sees the ghost at the toasting. I think I've seen a production where Macbeth drops his glass. That might be the Polanski version. I've seen the Polanski version. I've seen the Sir Ian McClellan version with Lady Dench, Judi Dench. And I've seen the most recent version, the guy from X-Men, I forget his name. That's horrible because he's a really good actor. I've also seen a stage version that was put on at the Citadel by of Macbeth, put on by the Citadel, which was really well done. But at this point, Macbeth sees the ghost again, and he is unmanned. He is shaken. Avaunt, and quit my sight. Let the earth hide thee. Thy bones are marrowless, thy blood cold. Thou hast no speculation in those eyes which thou dost glare with. He is seeing a ghost in his mind, and the others are watching him. Think of this, good peers, but as a thing of custom. Okay, so she's having to try and explain away these weird things that her husband is saying and doing. 'Tis no other, only it spoils the pleasure of the time. Macbeth is totally focused on this ghost. What man dare I dare? She, of course, Lady Macbeth said, do it if you're a man, and then after having done it, you'll be ever so much more the man, except he's lesser and lesser the man as a result. And now and earlier she says, quite unmanned with folly, and he's like, I am a man, I would do anything that any other man would do. If it was, approach thou like the rugged Russian bear. So instead of being Banquo's ghost, be a Russian, be an armed rhinoceros, be a tiger, take any shape but the one you have taken, that of Banquo, the man I just arranged to murder. His immediate audience, not us, the audience, but his audience of the lords are thinking probably more than anything Duncan. Take any shape but that, and my firm nerves shall never tremble, or be alive again, and dare me to the desert with thy sword. So if you want to avenge me for your death, come back to life and fight with me as a man. Which again, these are all confessions. He never once says, I murdered Duncan. He never once says, I've murdered Banquo. But he says, I have murdered you, the ghost, and I would rather fight you one-on-one. If trembling I inhabit, then protest me, the baby of a girl. Hence, horrible shadow, unreal mockery, hence. And he begs it to leave him, and it does. Why, so being gone, I am man again. Pray you sit still. I think this is just a typo. It doesn't need to be there. He says it once. Pray, sit you still. All the lords have stood. They're like, what is going on? They have been listening and watching all of this. This is not Macbeth in his asides. This is Macbeth revealing his guilt publicly. And Lady Macbeth says, you have displaced the mirth, broke the good meeting with most admired disorder. Everyone is upset because you have behaved so oddly. And he's like questioning, can such things be and overcome us like a summer cloud without our special wonder? You make me strange, even to the disposition that I owe, when now I think you can behold such sights, and keep the natural ruby of your cheeks when mine is blanched with fear. He could be speaking directly to Lady Macbeth, who made this comment, or because she has motions to all of them, he can turn to all of them and say, how can you just sit there so calmly in the face of such brutal imagery? They're not seeing the ghost, only he is. What sights, my lord? I pray you speak not. Finally, she comes to her senses and recognizes that we're starting to, if he answers this question, he's going to be confessing. And again, she doesn't know that Banquo is dead, but she does know that Duncan is dead, and the last thing she needs is for her husband to start confessing to having murdered their royal king. I pray you speak not. He grows worse and worse. Questions enrages him. At once, good night. Stand not upon the order of your going, but go at once. So she literally rushes them out of the room, because this has got to stop now. She should have listened to Ross when he said, my friends, our gentle lord is not well, we should probably go, but she felt that that would not look good. Unfortunately, what happened following that looks worse. Good night, and better health attend his majesty. A kind good night to all. They leave. Macbeth now recognizes much of what he said in that soliloquy. If this could be the be-all and the end-all, boom, I'd do it without a thought. But there are consequences to our actions. It will have blood, they say. Blood will have blood. We know this expression, and it was Shakespeare who wrote this, and from it we take the cliche that we talk about blood will have blood. If you kill someone, karma will kick your ass. Stones have been known to move and trees to speak. Augurs and understood relations have but by maggot pies and chows and roots brought forth the secrets of man's blood. And so he's looking at the supernatural, revealing his guilt, which in a sense could be so because he saw Banquo's ghost. What is the night? What time is it? Almost at odds with the morning, which. So it's like early dawn. Last scene, scene 3, was early dusk. This scene is early dawn, ends in early dawn. Now Macbeth is recognizing who his next real nemesis is. How sayest thou that Macduff denies his person at our great bidding? First thing that pops into a person's mind is, did he mean Macduff was invited to this feast? But it also very much likely means, because it was at our great bidding, could very well refer to his being crowned at Scone. Because remember, back from Act 2, the last scene with the old man and Ross, will you to Scone? No, cousin, I'll to Fife. He would not go to Macbeth's crowning. And that is a political statement. Did you send to him, sir? So how do you know this? I hear it, by the way. I've heard rumors. But I will send. There's not a one of them, but in his house I keep a servant feed. This man has no trust of anyone anymore. Every one of his lords, he has a servant who is a paid spy. I will tomorrow, and betimes I will, to the weird sisters. So now he is married to evil. He is going to go back to the witches for more information. More shall they speak, for now I am bent to know by the worst means the worst. I need to know everything, good or bad. And now, here, this is how his self-interest has sucked up and absorbed everything. For mine own good, all causes shall give way. Everything shall give in to me or be destroyed. There's no turning back for me. I am in blood steep so far that should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go o'er. And this is again part of why this is that Macbeth climax. Everything was working in his favor. Things are no longer working in his favor. He now is in need of the evil witches. And he recognizes that there is no way that he could turn back and become the man he used to be. Here, his insanity is brewing, the having bitten on hemlock, the insane root that drives the reason prisoner. Strange things I have in head that will to hand which must be aired, which must be acted ere they may be scanned. He is now starting to act on impulse. Whatever thought comes into his head, I have to do it. I can't take the time to think about it. And that is dangerous. And of course, Lady Macbeth recognizes one of the problems: you lack the season of all natures, sleep. Macbeth hath murdered sleep. Therefore Macbeth shall sleep no more. Cawdor shall sleep no more. Macbeth's prophecy to himself has come true. They are not getting a good night's sleep. Come, will to sleep. My strange and self-abuse is the initiate fear that wants hard use. We are yet but young indeed. What he said before about that which is bad made strong by ill, we simply need more practice in this murdering thing. We're only young. It wants hard use. We need to, we'll get better at this. It'll be easier come time, which is actually kind of a sad, very sad thought. Okay, I'm going to stop here because I don't want these videos to be that long. So that was Act 3, Scenes 2, 3, and 4. And there's 5 and 6 for my next video lecture. Alrighty.